Hello! If this is not your first time to my channel, you've already heard lots of tips and advice from me about starting a nonprofit and all that entails, but obviously I am not the only nonprofit founder out there in the world who's managed to turn a dream of making an impact into a full-fledged organization. So in this special video, I want to share some of the top tips I've heard from other nonprofit founders. Some of the things that they wish they'd known before they got started, some lessons learned along the way, and more. So if you are just getting started with a nonprofit organization, or maybe you've been doing this for a while and you're just wondering if your experiences line up with the experiences that other people have had, I hope that this video shares some good insights that get your wheels turning and inspire you to take some action. In case we haven't met, I'm Amber Melanie Smith. I am a nonprofit founder and executive director of the nonprofit that I started some years ago, and I make these videos here on YouTube to help other folks starting out on their nonprofit or social impact journey. So please don't forget to give this video a like if you find it helpful, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And if you're looking for some additional resources or training on how to start a nonprofit and how to lead a nonprofit effectively, definitely check out my website, foundertofulltime.com. Okay, I'm really excited to get started. So here are 7 tips from other nonprofit founders and leaders. Founder number 1 said that the business side of running a nonprofit can take you away from the programmatic aspects, the parts where you get to be directly involved in the mission of your organization, if you're not careful. It sounds a little bit more like a cautionary tale than a tip necessarily, but I can definitely relate to this. I've definitely seen other founders and nonprofit leaders, and of course myself, experience this one. When you are a founder, and I'm sure you can relate to this, or a leader, even if you're not the founder of your particular organization, you can wear lots of hats. You can be expected to have to do a lot of different things for the organization, from fundraising to marketing to running your programs to managing your volunteers to updating your website, and like all the little things in between. And I can say that the remedy to this is finding trustworthy people who can help you out. Your board, your volunteers, if you're in a position to hire paid staff, get help. Don't think that you can do it all by yourself, and don't try to do it all by yourself, because then this will happen to you. You will get stuck behind a desk on spreadsheets instead of helping with the aspects of the vision and the mission that you signed up to help out with. So delegate when you can, find trustworthy helpers, and see if you can just reallocate your time and focus your time on the things that you're best at, because that's going to serve your organization most effectively in the long term. All right, so founder number 2 says, be sure to center your organization's mission and message around the people you serve, not yourself as a founder. And they explained the reason for this is that founder syndrome can really alienate support for your cause. I will agree with this tip, but with a caveat. You definitely want to focus the work, the mission, the messaging on the people you serve. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't tell your story as a founder or leader of the organization. And here's why. In my experience, people also want to know who is behind an organization, who's behind an effort. They want to get to know the human being, the person who is at the helm, because that will build trust, that will inspire them to support the organization further. So I would say yes, but it is possible to strike a balance. You know, don't make it about you as a founder, but don't also be shy about telling your story and explaining your reasons for being involved in this cause, because people are going to relate to that, and that's going to increase the support for your cause. All right, so founder number 3 says, be thoughtful and strategic about how you select and elect board members, and really strive to understand your role on the team as a founder. I would say this is good advice. There are lots of horror stories out there about the misadventures of board members and board of directors. Sometimes board members might go rogue, or sometimes they aren't engaged at all. But I would say the flip side is that you can also find board members who are fantastic and who are really engaged, bringing their skills to the table, really wanting to support the cause in all the ways that they possibly can, and are really dedicated in putting in the time needed. And the difference is that you can weed out those who aren't going to be a good fit through your board recruitment process, and by making sure that you are putting forth your expectations of board members front and center. If you just throw a message out there into the universe saying, my nonprofit needs board members, then you never know who you're gonna get. But if you put a clear, detailed description of what it means to be a board member out there, and you say, we're looking for someone who shares these values, X, Y, and Z, who is able to put in this many estimated hours per month, who is willing to do these types of tasks, and you list them, like represent your organization in public or fundraise, etc. Then you're gonna weed out anyone who isn't willing to fit those values, who isn't willing to do all those tasks, and hopefully the applicants you'll get for your board of directors are all of those who are willing to align with those values and complete those tasks and fulfill those responsibilities. So in other words, you can mitigate a lot of what I think this piece of advice is saying by having just a really clear, structured onboarding and recruitment process for new board members. To address the other part, speaking as a founder and having seen many other founders in action, I will say you've got to understand that when you start a nonprofit, you are part of a team. You're part of a group of people who are serving the community together, and the community's and the public's needs come first, even before your own. It doesn't matter if starting the organization was your idea. Once you start the organization, and especially in the United States, once you get tax exempt status, the expectation is that the nonprofit is run by an elected board of directors that represents the public and represents the community it serves. So you just have to remember that you're part of a team and take pride in that. I am so happy to know that if something happened to me, or if I decided one day to leave the organization that I started, that it would survive and thrive years after I was there, because we allowed the team to take ownership of different aspects of the organization, and we helped everyone find their place in the organization and what made them passionate about sticking around, and then help the organization grow from that point of view. So I would say it can be hard to hear as a founder, but once you get it started, it belongs to the world, it belongs to the community, and you have to treat it like that. You have to treat it like it's a gift to the world and not something that you own and is about you. So that will help your organization thrive, and for you to get along really well with your board of directors, and for them to support your vision as it grows too. Okay, so founder number 4 has this piece of advice. I think this is really smart. And the advice is this: learn nonprofit accounting basics. Now, you don't need to become a CPA, but you do need to understand nonprofit accounting enough to be able to create a realistic budget for your organization, to be able to predict future funding needs and expenses as you grow, and to be able to pass an audit if you have been surprised with one by the IRS, or if you voluntarily do an audit so that you can show your donors and supporters transparently your financial situation. This is important even if you're not going to be the one managing your organization's bookkeeping or accounting. You have got to know enough to be able to oversee things when there are problems, to be able to help guide creating good financial infrastructure, and you have to be able to catch mistakes when they happen so that your organization can stay accountable and transparent to the public that it serves. Not having good accounting and bookkeeping infrastructure and processes in place has some pretty dire consequences. You could fail a government audit. You could lose your tax exempt status as a nonprofit. You could lose the trust of your donors and supporters who might choose to withdraw their support. So knowing enough about this to manage it properly is a really good bit of advice. All right, founder number 5 had a really good tip. They said that it is critical for your board of directors to thoroughly understand your organization's mission and vision. This makes a lot of sense. Your board members are often the recognized leaders of the organization. They are ambassadors. They are out there in the public talking about your cause. You don't want these leaders to be sharing an incorrect vision or a mischaracterized description of your mission statement. So just building on this particular founder had some really good follow-up advice on how to make sure that your board of directors is thoroughly versed and clear on your organization's mission and vision. And here's what they had to say. Some advice they offered was that make sure your board meeting agenda is more than just about business. You want to leave some time in the agenda to also discuss the vision of your organization and the strategy around that. They also mentioned having one-on-one meetings with board members to allow for more intimate discussion about the vision and getting that board member's personal ideas on how they can contribute to the organization's mission and long-term vision. And a few other things that I will add to this from personal experience is that it's a good idea to share success stories during your organization's board meetings and other meetings. Sharing the success stories helps people see the outcomes of the work, which just reinforces the mission and its importance. You can also put your mission statement at the top of your board agenda so that it's there and people can read it and recite it at every meeting as well. Okay, founder number 6 says, establish clear rules and expectations with communication and contracts. I can unfortunately attest to this. Without clear written expectations, or in some cases when necessary, project agreements or contracts, I've seen projects not get completed correctly. I've seen instances where we might be getting overcharged for something because of our perception of the project being different than someone else's. So just being really, really clear and making sure you have some great contract language and documentation ready to go when you are working with another person or another party on something is just really smart, whether you're running a nonprofit or a business or just in life. If you don't have a standard project agreement or contract template already, there are a ton of great free resources online. You can just Google memorandum of understanding or project agreement template, or when in doubt, you can consult an attorney. And finally, founder number 7 wanted to share with you, to impart the wisdom of creating a strong leadership and infrastructure model. Your organization can have the most inspiring story and the best mission and the most compelling vision, but if you don't have solid processes and infrastructure set up, then the organization's just going to flounder and focus on putting out fires instead of trying to change the community with intention and strategy. I wholeheartedly agree with this piece of advice, and if you aren't sure if you have strong infrastructure or leadership model in place, there are a couple things you can make sure that your organization has. The first being a strategic plan. I've talked about the strategic plan and its importance in some other videos, so be sure to check those out. But the idea is that you're working in collaboration with your team to set goals for the long term. I'm talking like a year or even multiple years into the future. And then you work your way backwards to determine what action steps you're going to need to take as an organization to reach those goals. It's a great planning tool. It ensures that your strategy is aligned with your ultimate vision as an organization. And another thing that you should have as an organization is a succession plan. And a succession plan is when you have a written process for what your organization should do in the event a key leader, such as a founder or executive director, leaves the organization either through a planned exit or through some sudden or unexpected circumstance. Once again, I get it. As a founder, it can be hard to think about that day when you might not be with the organization that you created. But like I said before, I'm happy to know that my organization could survive and thrive beyond me if it had to, and having a succession plan will provide the rest of my team with some comfort and confidence to know how to carry out that process should it come to it. Now I want to hear from you. Have you already started a nonprofit? Do you have other advice that you would add to this list? Share in the comments below. Or if you are just in the process of starting up, what did you think of this advice? Did it scare you? Did it get you excited about moving forward? Share in the comments below also. As I mentioned before, if you need some additional guidance or help figuring out how to start a nonprofit, definitely check out some of my online training options at foundertofulltime.com, my website. You might also want to subscribe to my newsletter for nonprofit leaders and change makers, because I send out news and information about social impact trends and funding opportunities that I find and all that great stuff. So check that out. I will leave links to those things in the description below. Finally, if you are on Facebook, check out my group, Change the World or Bust. We've got almost a couple thousand people in there from all around the world who are on some kind of nonprofit or social impact journey trying to make a difference, and we are in there talking and encouraging each other along the way. So come join us, and I hope to see you there. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I hope that this video is helpful to you. Once again, I'm Amber Melanie Smith, and I will see you next time.